487. Let the rainy one rain the 7 jewels all around in the 10 directions. But even then there is no satisfaction with sensual pleasures. Men die unsatisfied indeed. 488. Sensual pleasures are like a butcher's knife and a chopping block. Sensual pleasures are like a snake's head. They burn like a firebrand. They are like a bony skeleton. 489. Sensual pleasures are impermanent, unstable. They have much pain. They are great poisons. They are like a heated ball of iron, the root of evil, having pain as the fruit. 490. Sensual pleasures are like the fruits of a tree, like lumps of flesh, painful. They are like dreams, delusive. Sensual pleasures are like borrowed goods. 491. Sensual pleasures are like swords and stakes, a disease, a tumor, evil destruction, like a pit of coals, the root of evil, fear and slaughter. 492. Thus sensual pleasures have been said to have much pain, to be hindrances. Go, I myself have no confidence in existence. 493. What will another do for me when his own head is burning? When old age and death are falling closely, one must strive for their destruction. 494. Having opened the door, having seen her mother and father, and Anikarata seated on the ground lamenting, she said this. 495. Journeying on is long for fools, and for those who lament again and again at that which is without beginning and end, at the death of a father, the slaughter of a brother, and their own slaughter. 496. Remember the tears, the milk, the blood, the journeying on as being without beginning and end. Remember the heap of bones of beings who are journeying on. 497. Remember the 4 oceans compared with the tears, milk and blood. Remember the heap of bones for an aeon, equal in size to Mount Vipula. 498. Remember the great earth, Jambudipa, compared to that which is without beginning and end for one who is journeying on. Little balls the size of jujube kernels are not equal to his mother's mothers, and etc. 499. Remember the leaves, twigs, and grass compared with his fathers, etc., as being without beginning and end. Split up into pieces 4 inches long, they are not equal to his fathers indeed. 500. Remember the blind turtle in the sea in former times, and the hole in the yoke floating there. Remember the putting on of it as a comparison with the obtaining of human birth. Now, all these are similes in the suttas. So this lady, this princess, she is very knowledgeable about suttas. 501. Remember the form of this verse of bodies, unsubstantial, like a lump of foam. See the elements of existence as impermanent. Remember the hells giving much distress. 502. Remember those filling up the cemetery again and again, in this birth and that. Remember the fears from the crocodile. Remember the 4 truths. 503. When the undying exists, what do you want with drinking the 5 bitter things? For all delights in sensual pleasure are more bitter than the 5 bitter things. 504. When the undying exists, what do you want with sensual pleasures which are burning fevers? For all delights in sensual pleasures are on fire, aglow, seething. 505. When there is non-enmity, what do you want with sensual pleasures which have much enmity? Being similar to kings, fire, thieves, water, and unfriendly people, they have much enmity. 506. When release exists, what do you want with sensual pleasures in which are slaughter and bonds? For in sensual pleasures, unwilling, people suffer the pains of slaughter and bonds. 507. A grass firebrand, when kindled, burns one who holds it and does not let go. Sensual pleasures are truly like firebrands. They burn those who do not let go. 508. Do not abandon extensive happiness for the sake of a little happiness from sensual pleasures. Do not suffer afterwards, like the Putuloma fish having swallowed the hook. 509. Willingly, just control yourself among sensual pleasures. You are like a dog bound by a chain. Assuredly, sensual pleasures will treat you as hungry outcasts, treat a dog. 510. Intent upon sensual pleasures, you will suffer both unlimited pain and very many distresses of the mind. Give up unstable sensual pleasures. 511. When the unaging exists, what do you want with sensual pleasures, in which are old age and death? All birds everywhere are bound up with death and sickness. 512. This is unaging. This is undying. This is the unaging, undying state. Without grieving, without enmity, unobstructed, without stumbling, without fear, without burning. 513. This undying has been attained by many, and this is to be obtained even today by one who rightly applies himself. But it cannot be attained by one who does not strive. 514. So Sumedha spoke, not obtaining delight in the constituent elements. Conciliating Anikarata, Sumedha simply threw her hair on the ground. 515. Standing up, Anikarata with cupped hands requested her father, let Sumedha go in order to go forth. She will be one with insight into the truths of complete release. 516. Allowed to go by her father and mother, she went forth, frightened by grief and fear. The 6 supernormal powers were realized by her while still undergoing training, and also the foremost fruit or Sotapanna. 517. Marvelous, amazing was that quenching of the king's daughter, as she explained at the final time, or last moment, the karma in her former lives. 518. In the time of the Blessed One, Kona Gamana, in the Sangha's pleasure park, in a new residence, we 3 friends, women, gave a gift of a vihara. 519. 10 times, 100 times, 100 times, 100 times, we were reborn among the devas. But what need to talk of rebirth among men? 520. We had great supernormal powers among the devas, but what need talk about powers among mankind? I was the queen of a 7-jewel king. I was his wife jewel. 521. That was the cause, that the origin, that the root, that very delight in the teaching, that first meeting, that was quenching for one delighting in the Dhamma. 522. So they say, who have faith in the utterance of the one who has perfect wisdom, they are disgusted with existence. Being disgusted with it, they are disinterested in it. So that's the end of the Therigatha and the end of the Khuddaka Nikaya. So I'm very happy I've managed to speak on all the 5 Nikayas, and it's about time I also take a rest. Old age is coming, my head is on fire. I think to discuss.
Thank you to share with us the life of nuns in Buddha's time. When we read the beginning of the Therigatha, we find that quite a few of the nuns they living as a putti, a cell, they practice in a cell in the village. At night or when they wait intensive meditation. Whereas when they live in Khuddaka, they tend to in afternoons, after the afternoon meal, after the midday meal, they will come to Blind Man's Road, and then the Mara, the center, will come and disturb them. So finally, it seems like they may be practicing alone in the forest in the daytime, but they tend to live in buttis rather than under trees or just wander about outside. And it just means that they tend to live in a community. Can I share this?
In the Vinaya books, we find initially the Buddha did not make precepts. He allowed things to develop naturally. And when certain unfortunate things take place, then only the Buddha start to make the precepts. So initially, there was no precepts against women wandering alone to the forest to practice. But what happened was many of them got raped. And even if 2 of them or so, they still get raped. So the Buddha, after that, forbade women to go and practice alone. So they have to live in company. And the Buddha made the precepts quite serious precepts. Like if a nun, that means a bhikkhuni, travels alone, it is breaking the Sangha Disesa precepts. When you break the Sangha Disesa precepts, it means you're halfway out of the nunhood already. You have to repent and then got to be reinstated by 20. For monks it's 20. For nuns I'm not sure, probably also 20. So it's whereas monks can travel alone. So if nuns want to travel, the nun bhikkhunis, they have to get another nun to accompany them, at least 2. So all these developed later, and so later the nuns were only allowed to live in communities. They are not allowed to go and practice alone in the forest.
Okay, taking the cues from here, for nuns, these were gone for, they have the rule to protect them, so to say. And for taking the cues from here, you would think that we should also sort of follow the practice rather than making laws. We should refrain from going outdoors, especially at night, or whatever, under trees or anything on stone.
I think that not really applicable here, because we are inside a monastery. It should be fairly safe, except that there is a danger of animals coming at night. So if women want to meditate, they should either be in this hall or in the women quarters. The women quarters was purposely built with a flat roof, so that people who want to meditate in the open air, the ladies can meditate up in the roof, not go outside the women quarters at night. Because 2 years ago a panther came into our monastery, so at night. So we should not simply go out. We are near the forest reserve. So a lot of people, they come here, they don't know the danger. There's a lot of wild boar around also, and the wild boars are big, so big that even our dogs are afraid of them. So don't simply, in case any of you are new here, you don't know the danger, simply go out and meditate. It's not advisable. Only do it either in the hall or in the women quarters, nowhere else.
This was finally page 49. For all delights in essential and are more bitter than the 5 bitter things. What is the 5 bitter things?
I'm not sure about the 5 bitter things, but at the bottom, I don't know what is meant, but it's not very important. At the bottom in 505 talks about kings, fire, thieves, water, and unfriendly people.
Page
35.
Then I feel this not in all sensual pleasure,
seeing fear in individuality. What do you mean by seeing fear in individuality?
What verse is that? 3.
Seeing fear in individuality.
Oh, this one is Sakaya. Sakaya in identity. Sakaya identity.
And one more question, I'm asking on behalf of the teenager. For example, they are sharing it seems that he was telling me that most of his time went for vacation, even for vacation program. Found that when in the so-called retreat, they are more and get more disciplined, can sustain the practice. And having attained some Dhamma knowledge when we back to the household life, knowing that there's so many temptations. But the thing that we are knowing that we have to put in an effort for the practice. But why it was what things are lacking on for teenagers and all the time, somehow the teenagers come around the energy. For example, every day has to meditate. And even to hold a 5%, occasionally, in knowing the religion, he might turn to the religion. So I just get an opinion and some solution, one solution for my life. So we can make some advice for the religion.
I'm not sure what you asked. Wait a while.
I think it's I'm asking this question on behalf of the teenagers. How to make he himself to be more disciplined when he back to the household life. Then he was telling that when he was planning the retreat, he can sustain the discipline by wake up early, doing meditation, doing something. But back home he knows that he trying to practice, but somehow he gets the energy. And knowing that sexual pleasure is relative sometimes indulge in some of it. So he was advised from him was the big point of the for he himself, how to get more discipline. One he that was at the household.
If we can practice well in the household life, then what's the point of becoming a monk? What's the point of renouncing? It is very difficult to practice in the household life. That's why a person renounces. Also about the condition retreat and practicing at home is like a 100 meters dash compared with a 50-kilometer run. 100 meters dash you can run fast. But 50 kilometers run, marathon, can you run just as fast? Cannot. So that is natural. When you have a long race, like when you come for retreat, people make a lot of effort. And they think, oh, retreat is so good, I can make so much progress. But that's only for a short time. It's only for a short time. You're not able to sustain it. So, sometimes they come and stay in a monastery and they stay maybe 1 month and they think, 1 month I stay or 3 months I stay, I don't make much progress. Of course, it's a long time. You go for 1 week retreat or 2 weeks retreat, you seem like you make a lot of progress. But you cannot sustain that progress. So you have to use your wisdom. If you really want to progress, if a person is really sincere, then go forth lah. And after going forth, after you've gone forth, you have to train under a teacher for 5 years. Then after 5 years, go and live alone lah. And maybe you have a chance of becoming an arahant. So the people know all these things, but they are not willing to give up. So how can you live at home and you think you can practice as well as an arahant? It's silly lah.
Yeah, for me, personally, I also take for granted. Sometimes you go through Sutta, it seems that those days many lay followers that take first jhana, second jhana, even to the extent of the jhana. So, not even me, even I discuss with some of my so-called Dhamma friends, maybe there be some cushion for them to engage for going forward, so they can still practice at home or in the so-called in the society. Then maybe I can take first, second, or third. I think it is quite dangerous for me personally.
If you have been listening to our earlier Therigatha, you find some of the monks and even the nuns and the Therigatha, they practice for 25 years in the forest, and they still cannot get one first jhana.
Yeah.
So unless a person has got very good blessings from the past, that means he has already attained jhana in the past. For a layman to practice and attain jhana is quite impossible. But nowadays, of course, you get teachers who say that the pupil has got 4 jhanas and 8 jhanas and all that. But can you believe it? Because in the sutras, the Buddha says, he was telling Mahanama, if you have the Mahanama asked the Buddha, he said, Bhagava, I understand the Dhamma, I've been learning the Dhamma for so long, and yet sometimes greed, hatred and delusion obsess my mind. Then he asked the Buddha, is there something I have not practiced, I have not cultivated? The Buddha said, yes, Mahanama. The Buddha said, if you have obtained piti and sukha, you would not be living the household life. So if you have attained jhana, you would not be a layman. But these people they claim to have attained 4 jhanas and 8 jhanas and all that, and they're still a lay person. What kind of jhana have they obtained? It's not the Buddha's jhana. There are many kinds of jhana, many kinds of jnana also, but it's not the Buddha's jhana, but not the Buddha's jnana.
One more page 33, verses 3-1. But bring without basis for instance.
What verse?
3:1-8.
3:1-8.
I, O Brahman, having heard that Arahats doctrine without basis for it, doctrine without
the Dhamma, the Arahant's Dhamma, without this translation sometimes is not very good, without basis for rebirth. That means which does not give you rebirth, Sometimes we read in the suttas, we find sometimes, like here in the verses, after 7 days or 8 days they become enlightened. And we think, why last time so easy for them to become enlightened. But you look at the verses by the Arahant Anuruddha, it took him 30 years, to become enlightened. And that also practicing non-sleeping, non-lying down, sitting all the time, and living alone in the forest. 30 years to become an Arahant. And that is like the norm, that is the standard. People who become enlightened in 7 days or 8 days is very rare. You have a boy 7 years old become enlightened, but that is very rare. From tomorrow onwards, we will listen to the past talks. Probably tomorrow we listen to the Samyutta Nikaya, because Samyutta Nikaya is very technical. A lot of important things concerning the 37 Bodhipakya Dhamma is there. You can listen to that. If you all have questions, can discuss. Okay, shall we end here?